The sun was setting on XR 742, a distant planet in the Orion arm of the Milky Way. Dr. Zixtal, a renowned galactic archaeologist, wiped the sweat from his 4 eyes. His team had been digging for weeks, following strange energy readings that hinted at something big buried deep beneath the planet's surface. "Keep going," he shouted to his crew of various alien species. "We're close. I can feel it." As the last rays of sunlight disappeared, their digging machines hit something solid. A loud clang echoed across the dig site. Everyone froze. "What was that?" asked Gloop, Zixtal's slimy assistant. Zixtal's hearts raced. "We found it," he whispered. The team worked through the night, carefully removing layers of dirt and rock. As the twin moons of XR 742 rose high in the sky, they uncovered something that made them gasp. It was a ship, but not just any ship. It was massive, easily the size of a small city. And it wasn't alone. As they dug further, they found more ships, all connected in a vast underground hangar. "By the cosmic eggs," Zixtal muttered. "It's a fleet." News spread fast. Within days, scientists and researchers from all corners of the galaxy arrived at XR 742. Everyone wanted to see the ancient fleet. Dr. Quicksnur, a stuck-up scientist from the technologically advanced Zorgan Empire, sneered as he looked at the ships. "Primitive," he said. "Look at the design. So basic. So useless." Others agreed. The ships looked old and simple compared to their sleek modern vessels. Many laughed at Zixtal's excitement. But Zixtal didn't care. He knew they had found something special. He ordered his team to run every scan they could think of. The results were shocking. The technology in these ships was far beyond anything they had ever seen. The energy readings were off the charts. The materials used to build the ships were unknown to their science. "How is this possible?" Gloop asked, his body quivering with excitement. Zixtal shook his head. "I don't know. But we need to find out." As word spread about the strange readings, more alien races became interested. Some were curious, others were scared. What if these ships were weapons? What if they belonged to a long-lost advanced civilization that might return to claim them? The Galactic Council called an emergency meeting. Representatives from all known spacefaring races gathered to discuss the discovery. "We must destroy them," shouted the delegate from the war-loving Crix Empire. "No, we should study them," argued the peaceful Luminarians. As the debate raged on, a small ship entered the planet's atmosphere. Unlike the fancy ships of the alien delegates, this one was simple and practical. It landed near the dig site, and out stepped a group of beings no one expected to see. Humans. They were newcomers to the galactic stage, only recently having developed faster-than-light travel. Most alien races saw them as cute but primitive creatures, barely worth noticing. The human team, led by Dr. Sarah Chen, approached the dig site. They looked at the ancient ships with awe and recognition. "Excuse me," Dr. Chen said to Zixtal. "We heard about your discovery. We'd like to take a look if that's okay." Zixtal, always eager to share knowledge, agreed. He led them into the underground hangar, explaining what they had found so far. As they walked, one of the human scientists, Tom, tripped over a piece of equipment. He reached out to steady himself, his hand touching the hull of the nearest ship. Suddenly, the whole fleet came to life. Lights flickered on, engines hummed, and a voice boomed from hidden speakers. "Human DNA detected. Welcome back, creators." Everyone turned to stare at the humans. Dr. Chen smiled nervously. "I think," she said, "we have some explaining to do." The galactic community was about to learn that they had seriously underestimated humanity. The laughter had stopped, replaced by a stunned silence. The true nature of these ancient ships, and the role of humans in the galaxy's history, was about to be revealed, and nothing would ever be the same again. The underground hangar on XR 742 was in chaos. Alien scientists ran around in panic, their instruments going haywire. The ancient fleet, silent for millennia, was now humming with energy. Dr. Sarah Chen and her human team stood calmly in the center of the storm. They exchanged knowing glances as the ship's systems came online one by one. "What did you do?" Dr. Zixtal demanded, his 4 eyes wide with a mix of fear and excitement. Sarah smiled. "We didn't do anything. The ships recognized us." Tom, the scientist who had accidentally activated the fleet, stepped forward. "I think it's time we shared what we know." The aliens gathered around, their earlier mockery forgotten. Even Dr. Quixner, who had sneered at the primitive ships, looked on with newfound respect. Sarah took a deep breath. Long ago, humans were not confined to Earth. We had a vast empire that spanned the galaxy. This fleet, it's just a small part of what we once had. Gasps echoed through the hangar. Gloop, the slimy assistant, nearly fainted. But how?" stuttered Dr. Zixtal. "Your civilization is so young." Tom chuckled. "Young? No. Reborn. Yes." As if on cue, a hologram flickered to life in the center of the hangar. It showed Earth, but not as anyone knew it. Vast cities covered the planet. Massive ships darted between Earth and Mars, which had been terraformed into a lush green world. "This was us 100,000 years ago," Sarah explained. "We had mastered technology beyond your wildest dreams. We traveled the stars, built wonders, and helped young civilizations grow." The hologram changed, showing a terrible war. Strange, shadowy creatures fought against human ships. Planets burned. "But we faced a threat like no other," Tom continued. "A race of beings from another dimension. They sought to devour all life in our galaxy. We fought them with everything we had." The images shifted again, showing the human fleet, the same ships they stood in now, battling the shadow creatures. Victory seemed close, but at a terrible cost. "We won," Sarah said softly, "but the price was high. Our civilization was in ruins." The few survivors made a difficult choice. A hologram showed a group of humans standing around a device. They activated it, and a wave of energy swept across the galaxy. "We used our last great invention," Tom explained. "A device that would reset our civilization, hiding our technology and erasing our memories. We would start over, protected by the fleet we're standing in now, hidden until we were ready to reclaim our heritage." The aliens listened in stunned silence. The story was incredible, but the proof was all around them. Suddenly, alarms blared. The ship's defensive systems had detected something approaching. "Multiple ships entering the system," a computerized voice announced. "Hostile intent detected." On the main view screen, a fleet of Krixexa warships appeared. "The war-loving race have decided to take the ancient fleet by force. We can't let them have this technology," Dr. Quixnor said, surprising everyone with his support. Sarah nodded. "We won't." She turned to her team. "It's time. Are you ready?" The humans nodded solemnly. They spread out, each taking a position at different control stations. Their hands moved with practiced ease, as if they had done this 1,000 times before. How do you know what to do?" Zixtal asked in awe. Sarah's eyes gleamed. "We don't know. We remember." The ancient ships rumbled to life. Engines that hadn't fired in millennia roared with power. Weapon systems charged up, their energy readings off the charts. "All ships, prepare for launch," Sarah commanded. Her voice echoed through the fleet, strong and sure. As the first Krixexa ships entered the atmosphere, the ground above the underground hangar began to crack. Massive doors, hidden for eons, started to open. The aliens watched in amazement as humans, the species they had dismissed as primitive, took control of the most advanced fleet the galaxy had ever seen. Sarah's voice rang out one last time before the battle began. "Let's remind the galaxy who we really are." The ancient fleet rose from its long slumber, ready to defend humanity once again. The true awakening had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. The ancient human fleet rose from the surface of XR 742, leaving the stunned alien scientists behind. Dr. Zixtal and his team watched in awe as the massive ships effortlessly broke through the atmosphere, their advanced technology making them seem like they were gliding rather than flying. In the lead ship's command center, Dr. Sarah Chen stood confidently at the helm. Her team worked around her, their hands flying over control panels with an ease that seemed impossible for their supposed level of technological advancement. "Status report," Sarah commanded. Tom, now at the weapons station, responded, "All systems operational, Sarah." It's like they were waiting for us. The ship's AI spoke up, its voice warm and familiar. "Welcome back, commanders. It has been 100,000 years since your last login. Would you like a system update?" Sarah nodded. "Yes, please, and give us a tactical overview of the current situation." As the AI began its report, the alien scientists who had been brought aboard for safety watched in fascination. Dr. Quixner, who had once sneered at the primitive fleet, now couldn't close his mouth. "The Crixixa fleet consists of 50 warships," the AI reported. "Their weapons are primitive compared to our capabilities. Threat level minimal." Gloop, the slimy assistant, couldn't contain himself. "But how? How do you know how to operate these ships? How is your technology so advanced?" Sarah turned to the aliens, her eyes filled with a wisdom that seemed far beyond her years. "It's time you learned the truth about humanity's past and the galaxy's future." The main view screen changed, showing a series of images that told a story none of the aliens had ever imagined. "Humanity didn't evolve on Earth," Sarah explained. "We came from the stars, already advanced. Earth was an experiment, a way to restart our civilization if the worst happened." The images showed vast cities on multiple planets, technologies that defied the laws of physics as the aliens knew them, and humans traveling between galaxies as easily as the aliens traveled between stars. "We were the caretakers of the galaxy," Tom added. "We helped young species evolve, protected them from cosmic threats, and maintained the balance of power." Dr. Zixtal's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. "But why hide all this? Why go back to a primitive state?" Sarah's face grew somber. "Because of them." The screen changed to show the shadow creatures from the previous hologram. "We called them the Void. They came from another dimension, feeding on the energy of entire civilizations. They were unstoppable. Almost." The next images showed epic battles between human fleets and the Void creatures. Entire solar systems were weaponized in the fight. "We won, but at a terrible cost," Sarah continued. "Our civilization was in ruins. The few survivors knew that the Void might return one day, so we enacted the restoration protocol." Tom picked up the explanation. "We hid our advanced tech in secret bases across the galaxy. We used a device to reset our civilization on Earth, erasing our memories but encoding the knowledge deep in our DNA. The plan was to evolve naturally, rediscovering space travel on our own. When we reached a certain level of advancement, our old tech would recognize us, and we'd reclaim our heritage." The alien scientists listened in stunned silence. It was unbelievable, yet the evidence was all around them. "But something went wrong," Sarah said. "We've reawakened too soon. The Void, they're coming back. That's why this fleet revealed itself." Alarms blared suddenly. The AI's voice cut through the tension. "Warning. Void energy signatures detected at the edge of the system. Estimated time of arrival: 30 minutes. The atmosphere in the command center shifted instantly from wonder to focused determination. "Battle stations," Sarah ordered, her voice calm but filled with authority. "Tom, power up the nebula cannon. Prepare for dimensional shift if needed." As the humans rushed to their positions, the aliens watched in a mix of fear and awe. They had just learned that the primitive species they once laughed at was actually the most advanced race in the galaxy, and now That same species was about to face an enemy that threatened all existence. Dr. Quicksnore stepped forward, his earlier arrogance replaced by respect and a hint of fear. How? How can we help? Sarah looked at the alien scientist, a small smile on her face. Tell your people what you've learned here. The age of division among species is over. If we're going to survive what's coming, we'll need to stand united. As the void ships appeared on the long-range scanners, humanity prepared to reclaim its role as defenders of the galaxy. The true battle was about to begin, and the fate of all life hung in the balance. News of the ancient human fleet and the impending void threats spread across the galaxy like wildfire. The once quiet sector around XR 742 became a hive of activity as ships from every known species rushed to see the legendary fleet with their own eyes. On board the flagship of the human fleet, now named Phoenix, Dr. Sarah Chen and her team worked tirelessly to prepare for the coming battle. The ship's eye, which they had started calling Gideon, continuously updated them on the galactic situation. "Report, Gideon," Sarah commanded, her eyes fixed on the main view screen showing the gathering alien armada. Gideon's calm voice filled the bridge. "The Galactic Council has called an emergency session. Opinions are divided on how to respond to the human revelation and the void threat." Tom, working at the weapons console, snorted. "Let me guess. Some want to help, some want to run, and some think we're the real threat." "Correct," Gideon confirmed. "The Luminarians are advocating for a united front against the void. The Zorgan Empire is demanding access to human technology. The Krixexa are being difficult." Sarah sighed. "Of course they are. Any word from Earth?" "Yes," Gideon replied. "The governments of Earth are in turmoil. Some are embracing our true history, while others are in denial. Military forces worldwide are on high alert." Suddenly, alarms blared. A massive ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel near the Phoenix. Its design was unlike anything they had seen before, sleek, black, and radiating an aura of ancient power. "Unknown vessel approaching," Gideon announced. It's sending a message in old human code." The bridge crew exchanged nervous glances. Sarah nodded. "Put it through." A hologram appeared in the center of the bridge. It showed a human figure, but one that looked subtly different. Taller, with eyes that seemed to glow with inner light. "Greetings, lost children," the figure said, its voice echoing with power. "I am Admiral Jen, last of the Guardians. We sensed the awakening of this fleet and came as fast as we could." Sarah stepped forward, her voice steady despite her shock. "Admiral, there are more of us out there." Jen nodded solemnly. "A few. We are the descendants of those who chose to remain awake, watching over the galaxy while you slept. We've been fighting the void all this time, keeping them at bay. But now, they've grown too strong. We need you to remember, to reclaim your power." As Jen spoke, memories began to flood back to Sarah and her crew. It was as if a dam had broken in their minds, releasing a torrent of knowledge and experiences from their past lives. Tom gasped, his hands flying over his console with newfound expertise. "Sarah, I remember how to activate the nebula cannon. We can use it to create a barrier against the void." Similar exclamations echoed across the bridge as each crew member rediscovered their ancient skills. But their excitement was short-lived. Gideon's voice cut through the commotion. Multiple hostile ships detected entering the system. It's a combined fleet of Zorgans and Krixexa." Admiral Jen's hologram looked grim. "It seems some have chosen fear over unity. They seek to destroy you before you can fully awaken your power." Sarah's face hardened with determination. "They're making a mistake. Gideon, open a channel to the approaching fleet." As the communication link established, Sarah addressed the hostile aliens. "This is Dr. Sarah Chen of the human flagship Phoenix. We are not your enemy. The true threat, the void, is approaching. We need to stand united." The response came quickly, filled with fear and anger. "Lies. You humans hid your true nature from us. You can't be trusted. Surrender your technology, or be destroyed." Sarah looked at her crew, then at Admiral Jen's hologram. They all nodded in silent agreement. "Very well," Sarah said, her voice cold. "If that's your choice, but remember, we tried to warn you." She cut the communication and turned to her crew. "Battle stations. Tom, charge the nebula cannon. We'll give them a demonstration they won't forget." As the hostile fleet approached, the Phoenix and its sister ships began to glow with energy. The air around them shimmered, reality itself seeming to bend. Admiral Jen's ship moved into formation with the human fleet. "It's time to remind the galaxy why they once called us the Guardians," he said. The stage was set for a battle that would shake the very foundations of the galaxy. As the first shots were fired, Sarah couldn't help but wonder, would this be the beginning of humanity's return to greatness, or the start of another fall? In the distance, unnoticed by the warring fleets, a dark shadow began to creep across the stars. The void was coming, and it was hungry. The vastness of space around XR 742 erupted into chaos as the combined Zorgan and Krixxa fleet opened fire on the human ships. Energy beams and plasma torpedoes streaked across the darkness, their deadly beauty a stark contrast to the peace of the stars. On board the Phoenix, alarms blared as the first volley approached. Sarah's voice rang out clear and confident. "Gideon, activate the quantum shields." A shimmering iridescent barrier sprang to life around each human ship. The incoming fire splashed harmlessly against it, dissipating into colorful sparks. The alien fleet faltered, clearly shocked by the ineffectiveness of their attack. Sarah seized the moment of hesitation. "Tom, target their lead ships. Show them what we can do. But aim to disable, not destroy." Tom's fingers danced across his console. Targeting systems online. Firing micro-singularity missiles. Tiny points of light shot out from the Phoenix, each no bigger than a marble. As they neared the enemy ships, they expanded suddenly, creating miniature black holes that warped space around the targeted vessels. Engines sputtered and died as the alien ships were caught in the gravitational distortions. Admiral Jen's voice came through the comms. "Impressive, Sarah. You're remembering faster than I expected. But don't get overconfident. The void will be a far deadlier enemy." As if on cue, Gideon's urgent voice filled the bridge. "Warning. Void energy signatures detected at the edge of the system. Estimated time of arrival, 10 minutes. Sarah's face hardened. "We don't have time for this fight. We need to convince them to join us, or at least get out of our way." She opened a channel to the alien fleet. "This is your final warning. We are not your enemy. The true threat is almost here. Stand down, or you'll face the void alone." For a tense moment, there was no response. Then, a familiar voice crackled through the comms. It was Dr. Quixnor, the Zorgan scientist who had once mocked the primitive human ships. "This is Dr. Quixnor of the Zorgan Science Academy. I've seen what the humans can do. I've seen the proof of the void. Please, listen to them. We must unite, or we'll all perish." His words seemed to sway some of the alien ships. A group of Zorgan vessels broke formation, moving away from the fight. But the Krixxa remained aggressive, launching another wave of attacks. Suddenly, a massive energy surge rocked the battlefield. A tear in space itself appeared, a swirling vortex of darkness that seemed to devour light itself. "The void," Admiral Jen shouted. "They're here earlier than expected. All ships, prepare for dimensional combat." Sarah's mind raced, accessing knowledge she didn't know she had. "Gideon, initiate the Nexus Protocol. Tom, charge the Stellar Forge. We need to close that rift." As the human fleet moved into action, shadowy tendrils began to emerge from the vortex. They reached out, touching the nearest Krixxa ships. In an instant, the vessels went dark, their crews' life signs vanishing. The sight shocked the remaining alien ships into action. The Zorgan commander's voice came through, tinged with fear. Humans, we were wrong. Please, help us. Sarah nodded grimly. Form up behind us. Our shields can offer some protection. Admiral Jen, we need to buy time to charge the stellar forge. Jen's ship moved forward, a brilliant light emanating from its bow. We'll hold them off. Remember your training, Sarah. The fate of the galaxy rests in your hands. As Jen's ship engaged the void tendrils in a dazzling display of energy combat, Sarah focused on the stellar forge. Ancient knowledge flooded her mind, guiding her actions. Stellar forge at 60% charge, Gideon reported. Void entities breaching the defensive line. Time to full system saturation. 5 minutes. Sarah watched in horror as more alien ships fell to the void's touch. The remaining vessels huddled behind the human fleet's shields, all previous hostilities forgotten in the face of annihilation. 80% charge, Gideon announced. Void breach imminent. Admiral Jen's ship is sustaining heavy damage. Sarah's hands flew over the controls, pushing the stellar forge to its limits. Hold on, Admiral. Just a little longer. As the first void tendril touched the Phoenix's shields, causing them to flicker and spark, Gideon's voice rang out. Stellar forge at 100% charge. Fire, Sarah commanded, her voice echoing across the battlefield. A beam of pure stellar energy erupted from the Phoenix, striking the heart of the void vortex. For a moment, it seemed like the darkness would swallow even this last, desperate attack. Then, with a silent explosion that shook the very fabric of space, the vortex collapsed in on itself. The void tendrils disintegrated, leaving behind only the eerie silence of space and the stunned survivors of the battle. As the dust settled, Sarah looked out at the battered fleet. Human, Zorgan, Crixexa, and the few remaining ships of Admiral Jen's guardians, all had fought together against an impossible foe. This, she said softly, was just the beginning. The galaxy held its breath. News of the Void's attack and the humans' incredible defense spread faster than light itself. Every sentient being knew. The final battle was coming. On board the Phoenix, Sarah Chen stood at the center of a holographic war room. Representatives from every major species in the galaxy surrounded her, their faces a mix of fear and hope. The Void will return, Sarah said, her voice steady. And this time, they'll bring everything they have. We need to be ready. Admiral Jen, his hologram flickering from battle damage, nodded gravely. The Guardians have been fighting them for millennia, but we've never seen them gather in such numbers. This is their endgame. Dr. Quixner, now the Zorgan ambassador, stepped forward. We've analyzed the data from the last attack. The Void, they're not just destroying. They're consuming. Every world they touch adds to their strength. Sarah's eyes narrowed. Then we stop them here. We draw the line and say no further. She turned to the assembled aliens. Each of you has unique strengths, technologies we can use. Together, we might stand a chance. For hours, they planned. The Lumerians offered their psychic abilities to coordinate the fleet. The Crixexa, humbled by their near destruction, pledged their berserker battle squads. Even the mysterious ethereals, beings of pure energy, emerged from their cosmic exile to join the fight. As the strategy session ended, Gideon's voice cut through the room. Multiple void rifts detected. They're surrounding the entire sector. Sarah's voice rang out, clear and commanding. All ships, battle positions. This is not a drill. The fate of all life hangs in the balance. Today, we fight not as separate species, but as guardians of the galaxy. The space around XR 742 erupted into chaos. Thousands of ships, from massive dreadnoughts to agile fighters, formed up around the human fleet. The sky darkened as void rifts tore open, disgorging countless shadow entities. Lumerian psychics, link the fleet, Sarah ordered. Crixexa squadrons, take point. Ethereals, stand by for dimensional disruption. As one, the galactic armada surged forward. Energy weapons of all colors blazed across space, striking the incoming void tendrils. The Krix berserkers charged headlong into the fray, their battle fury providing a moment's pause to the void's advance. But the shadows kept coming. For every tendril destroyed, two more took its place. Ships began to fall, their crews consumed by the endless darkness. "We're losing ground," Tom shouted over the din of battle. "The stellar forge needs time to recharge." Sarah's mind raced. Then, a memory surfaced, an impossible gambit from humanity's past. "Gideon, initiate the Nexus override. Redirect all power to the dimensional anchor." "Warning," Gideon replied. "Nexus override will drain life support. Survival chances, minimal." Sarah looked at her crew, saw the determination in their eyes. "Do it." Energy surged through the Phoenix. The ship's hull began to glow, circuits overloading as it channeled more power than it was ever meant to handle. "Now, Ethereals," Sarah commanded. The energy beings swarmed around the Phoenix, their bodies merging with the ship's glowing form. Reality itself seemed to bend and warp. With a blinding flash, a shockwave of pure dimensional energy exploded outward from the Phoenix. It swept across the battlefield, ignoring allied ships but tearing through the void entities like tissue paper. For a moment, silence reigned. Then, cheers erupted across every communication channel as the remaining void forces retreated, their rifts collapsing. But victory came at a cost. The Phoenix drifted powerless, its crew barely alive. As emergency teams rushed to rescue them, Admiral Jen's voice crackled through. "You did it, Sarah. You've given us a chance. But this isn't over. The void will be back, and we need to be ready." As Sarah slipped into unconsciousness, she saw the gathered fleets of the galaxy, former enemies now united in a common cause. She smiled faintly. Humanity had reclaimed its place among the stars, and the real work was just beginning. In the darkness between dimensions, the void churned and seethed. It had underestimated these beings, especially the humans. But it was ancient, patient. It would wait, gather its strength, and when the time was right, it would return to finish what it started. The battle was won, but the war for the fate of all existence was far from over. 6 months after the Great Battle, the galaxy was a changed place. The Phoenix, once adrift and powerless, now orbited Earth, fully restored and gleaming in the sunlight. It stood as a symbol of humanity's resurgence and the new galactic order. Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck, looking down at the blue marble she called home. The door slid open, and Tom walked in, a datapad in hand. "The last of the void rifts has been sealed," he reported. "The Ethereals say the dimensional barriers are stronger than ever." Sarah nodded, a small smile on her face. "And the rest of the news?" Tom grinned. "Better than we could have hoped. The Galactic Council has officially recognized Earth as a founding member. Our technology is helping rebuild worlds destroyed by the void." And he paused for effect. "They want you to lead the new Galactic Defense Force." Sarah's eyes widened. "Me? But I'm just a hero." Admiral Jen's voice interrupted as he entered the room. "The one who united the galaxy when we needed it most." Sarah turned to face the ancient guardian. "Admiral, I couldn't have done it without you, without everyone. This victory belongs to all of us." Jen nodded, his eyes twinkling. "True, but every alliance needs a leader, and the galaxy has chosen you." Before Sarah could respond, Gideon's voice came through the speakers. "Incoming transmission from the Galactic Council. They're ready for the ceremony." Sarah took a deep breath and straightened her uniform. "Well, let's not keep them waiting." The main hall of the newly constructed Galactic Embassy on Earth was packed with representatives from every known sentient species. Humans mingled with aliens of all shapes and sizes, a sight that would have been unthinkable just a year ago. As Sarah walked to the podium, she saw familiar faces in the crowd. Dr. Quicksnore gave her a respectful nod. The Crix-Exa ambassador, once an enemy, now stood tall as an ally. Even the ethereal forms of the Lumerians shimmered in attendance. Sarah cleared her throat and began to speak, her words broadcast across the galaxy. Friends, allies, fellow guardians of life, we stand here today not as victors, but as survivors. The void threatened to consume all, but together we pushed back the darkness. She paused, looking out at the diverse crowd. For too long, humanity hid from its true heritage. We forgot who we were, the responsibility we carried. But in our darkest hour, we remembered. And in remembering, we found strength not just in ourselves, but in unity with all of you. Cheers erupted from the audience. Sarah waited for them to quiet before continuing. The void is not defeated. It waits beyond the dimensions, gathering strength. But we will be ready. No longer will we fight as separate species, separate worlds. From this day forward, we stand as one galaxy, united in our diversity, stronger together than we ever were apart. She gestured to the Earth visible through the grand windows. This world was once an experiment, a hiding place. Now it will be a beacon, a center of learning, of cooperation, of hope. The Earth Alliance extends an invitation to all. Come, share your knowledge, your culture, your dreams. Together, we will build a future even our ancestors couldn't imagine. As Sarah's speech concluded, the hall erupted in applause. Species that once warred against each other now stood side by side, united in purpose. Later, as the ceremonies wound down, Sarah found a quiet moment alone. She looked out at the stars, thinking of the challenges ahead. The void would return, she was sure of it. But this time, they would face a galaxy united, with humanity standing proud among its peers. A shooting star streaked across the sky, and Sarah smiled. Once, humans had looked to the stars and dreamed. Now, they were the dream others looked to. The road ahead was long and fraught with danger, but for the first time in 100,000 years, humanity had reclaimed its place as guardians of the galaxy. The laughter had stopped, replaced by respect, alliance, and hope. A new era had begun, and the universe would never be the same.